Well, hello everyone. Welcome. Since you're here at this panel, I can tell you already have taste. So I can tell you guys love a little horror, cozy horror. You know, when things go wrong, hang by the seat of your pants. Maybe with a hint of, but daddy, I love him though. So let's get into it. Let's talk about The Executioners 3 by Susan Dennard. And Watch Me by Tahereh Mafi. So if you have attended a panel that I've moderated before, you know how much I love to gush about girl characters who are going through things. I love seeing, that sounds so bad, but I do love seeing how they go through it and how they carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, but also bounce back into the total, I can't say the BA word, but you know what I mean. So let's get to know these characters. We'll start here. We're back into the chaotic Shatter Me universe. So in a quick summary, tell us about the Shatter Me universe, where we are, where we were, where do we come from, how are we here? And of course, if you can fit in Rosabelle, tell us about her chaotic life too.
Wow, okay. Tall order.
Absolutely.
I should mention that the first Shatter Me book came out 15 years ago. So, yeah. It's very interesting to me that this is still a surprise to other people, because that means that you're very new here. I wrote those books a long time ago. And I'm very, very happy and thrilled to still be writing books in this universe because I love it so much. But trying to remember what happened in those books is occasionally difficult for me. But the first series, so it's a dystopian saga but there's also like superpowers and murder hands, yeah. So the main character in the first book, a character named Juliet, she has this lethal touch and she's struggling in a world that wants to use her as a weapon. And she has to find a way to reclaim her voice, her autonomy, her strength in a world that's trying to crush her. And these are deeply character-driven stories. At the onset of the first book, she's deeply broken. And the story is about her coming into herself as a young woman. And I often come back to these types of books. So with these types of stories, these types of characters, I've realized the older I get, the more obvious I become to myself. My themes reveal themselves to me. And so with the spin-off series, I sort of diving into a character grappling with similar issues, but from a different perspective, through a different lens. And Rosabelle, the main character in the spin-off series, I can't really actually talk too much about her specific issues. They're a little bit of a spoiler, but she's a mercenary and she works for, the evil side. And she's sent to kill a mark. And naturally,
things happen.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, things just happen, man.
He finds her very attractive.
Yes, because that's how you're supposed to be. As Spike said, he likes a woman who can kick his A.
Yeah. It's like a really good meet cute.
Or fine human specimen, as they say in the bio.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Broadly speaking, they're stories about justice and oppression told through the lens of romance, basically.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Do you need to have read the first books to pick up here?
Thank you for asking that question. No, you do not. Watch Me is meant to be read as its own independent entry point into the universe. If you want to read the original series, you absolutely can. It will enhance your experience, but it is not necessary.
Excellent.
Book talk.
Thank you.
Helped me catch up so much. So this is a sidebar, and this is definitely if you know, you know, and I know I'll pivot back to this somewhere later. But how was it crafting Rosabelle in comparison to crafting Alize from another series you're working on?
Oh, we're still talking about me?
Oh, yeah. Because I have questions. Yes, I have questions. My phone is on.
Okay, so Alize is a character from a totally different series. I have a book coming out in like 3 weeks. It's the 4th book in an ongoing fantasy series. Thank you. Thank you. The 4th book in the series is called Every Spiral of Fate. It is the 4th book in the Woven Kingdom series. This is a very different story. I will try to be as concise as possible. But like I said, I have these themes. I like to start with characters who begin in a very broken place and slowly find their power. Alize is a similar sort of character, and she's the long-lost queen to an ancient, forgotten kingdom. And she has to lead her people out of oppression, into the freedom. And this is the 4th book in the series, and you were asking how she as a character is different from them. She will kill you if necessary.
Killing,
But it's not her
kill.
first instinct. For Rosabelle, her first instinct is to kill you.
Murder.
Oh yeah, she makes that well known.
And her struggle is learning to stop, among other things.
Among other things. I will definitely put a pin in that, because my God. So Suzanne.
Can I ask one more question? Sure. And how many books is the Woven Kingdom series planned to be?
5 altogether.
Nice. This
So
is
the
like, we're
internet
getting to
didn't
the
lie, thank
penultimate,
goodness. Okay.
Get on it now.
So to Susan, okay, because Executioners 3, I have so many things. It is such a 90s baby brain candy of,
Thank you.
it smells of hit clips, JC Chasez and Kevin.
And pumpkin spice latte, because it's set in fall.
Yeah, absolutely. So before I gush too much about this book, tell us about The Executioners 3 and tell us about Freddie, my lovely 90s pop queen.
Freddie Geller, if anyone's from the 90s, you know what I smashed
Oh
together
yeah,
there.
oh yeah.
Yeah, so I am a 90s kid, and I was writing, so I live in a place with super fall vibes. It's amazing. And every fall, it's like this brief window of glorious color and cold wind. And I've been working on this book I literally started it in 2011, and it's now 2025. But only because I would only work on it for these few weeks where the leaves were at their peak colors and we hadn't fully hit, the true cold. And my other due contracted books weren't knocking. I could kind of peel away every year a few weeks to work on that. It originally started as a rom-com. Turns out I can't write rom-coms. I love reading romance, but I am terrible at it, you guys. I cannot use the romance just to propel the plot. I don't know how those authors do it. Truly commend them, because what ended up happening, I added murder. I was 20,000 words in and I was like, oh, someone died. Guess that's where we're going with this. And at the time, my agent was like, this was hilarious, right? This was 2012. She was like, murder mysteries really aren't selling. Let's put a pin in that. And I was like, or not, I'll just work on it next fall. And over the years, it just kept growing into what it is today, which is this 90s set horror romance. So there's a mystery, there's murder, but there's also now ghosts and a lot of 90s jokes, because it's set in 1999. Because I wanted a book where we didn't have smartphones and we didn't have social media, and where if you wanted to find an answer, you had to literally go to a library or go ask the suspect questions. We couldn't just scour their social media. And so, plus it's just a lot more scary when you're in the woods and you have no one to save you, no phone to call, nothing.
Oh, those last few chapters in the woods. Oh God.
Thank you. I am. Yes. You're welcome. But because there is horror, I will say, but because it's also very funny, it is my funniest book by far. All of my books have some humor, but this one is definitely on the page jokes, 90s references everywhere for the people my age, and then for the youths who like the 90s again.
The youths.
All of you who make us feel cool. Actually, I know you're just laughing at us. It's fine. Wear your baggy jeans.
Yes.
Yeah, so I wanted to tap into that, and it's all worked out well. I actually originally put the book on Wattpad in 2018, just because I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to try to sell this. I just think it's fun, and I want to share it with the world. And it did very well on Wattpad. I was very lucky to find readers there. My favorite comments I would get were people saying, oh my gosh, being a teen in the 90s is just like today. And I'm like, yes, I know. Trust me, it's like a universal experience. So that was really fun. But I was working on the Witchlands, which, like you, it's very different from this stuff. We span genres, we contain multitudes, and that was due under contract. So I focused wholly on that for a while, and then my Luminary series, and now finally, 'tis the time for the Executioners 3, especially because I never put an ending on Wattpad. Sorry, guys. But now you have it. Now you can read the whole book in one delicious package.
Are you writing any more secret books right now?
I do have,
both
not
of you stay
announced
booked and
yet,
busy.
but I do have some more 90s set mysteries coming out very soon, starting earlier next year. So stay tuned for that.
Yes. So tell us about Freddie and like the crafting of her, because like I said, I love
Freddie
her.
is a very special human indeed, and if you've read the book, you'll understand that reference. She's my most confident character by far. She's like what I wish I could have been as a teen. She's just so comfortable in who she is, and she isn't particularly concerned with conforming to meet your ideals. She is determined to solve this mystery. The sheriff is wrong. It is not an accident or a suicide. This is a murder, and she's going to prove it with her best friend at her side. And if there's a cute boy getting in the way, so yeah, she was just a really fun voice, and she's not someone I can replicate. So if you like it, let me know. Maybe I could do a spinoff one day with more Freddie and Theo. Right?
Please.
Because she's not a voice that I can do a second time. She's a very strong voice. You will see if you read the book. Plus the 90s jokes. You can't get away with writing that many books with that many jokes. But yeah, Freddie is just such a fun character to play with. Because it's not like me. It's what I wish I was.
That.
Thank you.
I love that because trying so hard not to spoil, because my God, I love to gab about this book. But I was so curious about if there was going to be a sequel just because of how it ended, and it's I
do have. If any of you read my series, my previous books, then you know I always leave a little doorway open at the end in case we want to explore more one day. So yes, I definitely left space. Yes.
Yes, I love space. So as this panel is called, This Boy is Cute, let's talk about these cute boys and the issues that they have, because...
I think you got that one, man.
Yes.
No offense. No offense.
I'm not
You write very dreamy boys.
Yes, so let's talk about, like I say, how they're distracting our lovely girls from saving the world, especially Theo with just...
I mean, mine is not. He's tortured, but I feel like...
No, take it.
No. Mine is like low stakes compared to the distraction of your heroines.
Okay, absolutely. No. Let's definitely pivot, because I have a lot to say. So since this is a continuation of our story, just for a quick, because again, I'm unfamiliar with the series, talk about James from, because I think in the Shatter Me universe in the beginning, he was maybe 10 or 11, and now he's 21, and he's going through trying to figure himself out. He's trying to step out of the 5'9" Daddy Warren shadow.
I mean, that's what I'm referring to when I talk about boys with issues.
Oh yeah, so definitely dive in from teenager to now 21-year-old who is finding himself in prison.
I mean, big issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So if you have no familiarity with the Shatter Me series, the main the James, the central love interest in the Watch Me series, the second Shatter Me series, started out as a 10-year-old. He was 10 years old in the original Shatter Me series. And he is the younger brother of, this is such a spoiler, just giving away all these spoilers. But I guess at this point, 15 years later,
You had a chance.
I mean, you had your chance, yeah. But I want to try to encapsulate his character in a succinct manner. I really wanted to try to explore the difficulties of growing up under the shadow of a really powerful or influential older sibling or powerful family members. And, I really feel like people usually remember the version of you that they have the most power over. And it is sometimes difficult to break out of that. And James's journey is really about growing up, not only for himself, but in the eyes of his family, being taken seriously. When you first meet him, I mean, he's very funny. He's hilarious. Like he's a very talented soldier, but he takes his job a little unseriously. So he will murder people smiling, and everybody.
Like Deadpool.
Sure, yeah, kind of like a Deadpool character, I guess. He's not quite that coarse, but kind of. Anyhow, but you know, his journey is like when you're writing a love story, or at least I'm going to speak about my experience. I can't speak for the extremely talented writers of romance. But you know, you want to make sure that, we were just talking about this before we got on stage, that like, you know, generally speaking, in relationships, any relationship, friendships, romantic relationships, that sort of thing, we're generally drawn to people who possess attributes and qualities that we find we lack in ourselves. So we are attracted to people who possess qualities that we wish we had. And we might not realize that at the time. It's sort of this subconscious thing that's happening, speaking to an insecurity or a failing or aspirations. And when you're building out characters in a romance, you know, it's really important to make sure that they kind of possess each other's weaknesses, that like one character, so that the chemistry feels really natural as you're building it. And so this is a kind of a typical grumpy sunshine sort of thing. And the idea is that both characters grow and change together, so that ultimately that partnership makes them more powerful as a united front. They can be powerful as separate individuals, but truly unstoppable when they come together.
I love that. So, hello? Can you hear me? Yep, there it goes. So when I joked and said, but daddy, I love him, I was definitely thinking of James in this case, because Rosa, like, I love the relationship that's blossoming between him and Rosa so much, because it's, I don't know if so they have a very interesting beginning. It's a very dramatic beginning.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to meet someone that way, but he absolutely loved it, because he's like, man, she's pretty. And I'm like, sir, focus. Like each and every time it's like, okay, focus. But I love how their dynamic is forming. I love how, because with Rosa, we know she's a mercenary. We know that there are reasons that I'm not going to spoil why she's so closed off and why she, you know, kills parts of herself inside to like maintain this front. And you have James like coming in and kind of just being brown-haired, like beautiful-eyed, handsome boy. And it's like, so tell us about their dynamic and how fun was it to write about them?
It's super fun. I was saying it's a very like the grumpy sunshine thing. Like she's the grumpy one.
Like a black cat, golden retriever.
Black cat, yeah, golden retriever sort of thing. But you know, it's only the first book in the series, and I like long series. How do you feel? You like that,
I mean, yeah,
right?
The Witchlands, the 6th book comes out in 2 weeks, or in 2 months. Yeah. Law, keep them.
I like to build worlds and stay in
Earned
them.
payoff. The earned payoff of
It's so, right?
yeah.
We're just completing
So
each other's sentences.
Yes.
I mean, so I'm gonna veer off topic for just a moment and
By all
say
means.
that, like, so I've got this 4th book coming out in a couple of weeks, a 4th book in a different series. I have waited years to write some of the scenes that take place in this book.
I feel this so deeply.
Right? And like with every book that comes out, and it takes years to publish all these books. And, you know, people will, you know, readers will have opinions and questions and concerns or complaints and frustrations, and it's all sweet, you know, because they're invested in the story. And I'm just like, wait.
Just wait.
Hang in there. Like, you don't actually want what you think you want.
We know
I
better.
know what you want.
That literally, okay.
And it's coming.
That is literally my feelings of how I felt you were
have
yelling
to
at me in This
wait.
Woven Kingdom. Like, that's how I feel you were yelling at me.
Like, it's just, but it's so much sweeter when like it finally comes to, right? It has to be earned. You have to really fight for it. That instant gratification that you think you want, you don't really want. And I just, when I'm building out a long series, I have to be patient too. And I have to be like, okay, look, I have a plan. We're gonna get there. So in this first book between James and Rosabelle, you know, we're just meeting them. We're just introducing them. But you haven't really met James yet. You haven't really met Rosabelle yet. You don't know who these characters are. I just finished writing the third book. So I'm like, my head is somewhere else, you know?
It's always the author's problem. We're so far ahead.
Yeah. So there's so much more to come.
I love how both of you are locked in.
Oh, yeah. So I love what you're saying because I write, The Witchlands is huge. The first one came out 9 years ago, and the last one's about to come out in November, beginning of November. Earned payoff, man. I call them my cookie scenes. I have been waiting for these cookies to write them and for you to see them and read them and be like, wow, Suze, you're a genius. And I'm gonna be like, I know, aren't you amazed? But truly, it is so satisfying.
Yeah.
That sweet release of tension after so many books. You've been waiting for it, you didn't know you were waiting for it, but it's gonna come and you're gonna be like,
Yeah.
and so I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's interesting because the Executioners 3 is standalone, and I have a number of standalones coming up next year and the next year, and so I can't do that in the same way, which I still love a standalone, don't get me wrong, but gosh, my brain still thinks in series too because of the sweet, sweet release of tension from an earned payoff like 5 books in.
Yes. It's so great. Like I'm like, this is the year I get to write the scene.
It's like an adrenaline burst. You get really excited about it, okay?
Yeah, and you're really happy for these fictional characters.
Yeah, finally.
You know.
You get to eat the cookie.
Yeah.
As a reader, the payoff is worth it because it's like, oh my God, I've suffered through this page.
Yes.
And then you get to the next chapter, it's like, oh, thank God. Why did you guys do this? What do you mean the book is over? What do you mean September is the next book? Like, how dare you? Can you not just text me like at least a portion of what you're doing?
Yeah.
But to casually pivot, Theo, he's going through it. Like,
yeah, in the Executioners 3. Yeah.
Oh yes.
He's a tortured boy.
Oh, I love how he's a vehicle for trauma. So that's.
And you make it sound so dark. It's a funny book, I promise.
No, okay, it totally is a funny book, but it's just what I fell in love with was because there was another book that kind of made me have that similar feeling. So it was kind of nostalgic reading The Executioners 3, where you start off the book and you're reading this poem, and it's like, okay, the author is setting the groundwork. What does this mean? And then next thing you know, this in-between chapter, and it's like, okay, this isn't big. And then it's just like, okay, crows are dying in the street. And it's like, why does this sound holy, no. And then each and every time, it's just, hey, Theo.
Hey, hi, cute boy.
Hi, cute boy.
There's
yet,
people dying as a murder. Ghosts. Hi, cute boy.
Don't worry about people dying when you have to make out with, the boy that you like in front of your mom or something. It's fine.
Spoiler alert, it's fine. It's on the Wattpad version sheet. So the setup between the romantic love interest is that there's 2 schools in this small town, and one is a fancy prep school with a lot of out-of-towners, as they're called. And Theo goes to that school, and then Freddie, my main character, goes to the local high school. And every year they have a prank war. And by accident, the very opening line of the book is Freddie didn't mean to get half the rival high school arrested. She got him arrested because she called the cops hearing screams in the woods. So you would call the cops.
Very reasonable.
Yeah, but it turned out to be these prep school kids having a party and drinking, so they all got arrested. And so now the prank squad leader of the rival school has his sights set on Freddie. But Freddie is up to that challenge. So they kiss accidentally. We have our accidental kiss trope, where then you're like, oh, I liked that. Oh dear.
Perfect 90s moment.
It's such a 90s moment, yeah. And she liked it way more than she was supposed to, and so did he. So that sort of sets up an unexpected romance. even though they're not supposed to like each other because rival schools. So it also has to be a little hidden.
The fun Romeo and Juliet.
Yes, lots of Romeo and
'cause
Juliet
yeah.
references, but specifically the Leonardo DiCaprio version because it's the 90s. So
And that's something else I loved about Freddie. She was so self-aware and just, it was her commentary that just kept me going through. It's like, this is funny. Wasn't there a guy who's decapitated? Okay, Freddie, this is cool. This is fun.
yeah, there's decapitation happening in the woods, but cute boy. I mean, that's the fun thing about YA though. It's
Yeah.
like you can play with the state, like romance has just as high a stakes when you're a teenager. Maybe you're there right now, maybe you've been there, but we all remember how big it feels, first loves, and being able to put that into a book where it's like, yeah, solving the mystery, figuring out if there is actually a curse happening or not, that's important, but it's just as important to figure out my drama with this boy. Will we kiss again? and it's a really fun, I love, that's what I love about YA. I love that you can have such high stakes on the emotional front as you do with the actual saving of the world.
Yes. So because I was like, stalking your Instagram, this book was a really huge success and it came as a surprise to you.
It did come as a surprise.
So tell us about that because when I read it, I knew it was just going to be good. I was just like, oh yeah, I can see the elements. I love everything that's going on. But it caught you by surprise?
It did. It's such a quirky book. I know it's quirky and it's a mashup of so many genres, right? I call it cozy horror romance because you feel like you're being hugged by a pumpkin spice latte while there's murder, you know? It's such an odd mixture. And it's also a mystery. I love mystery, and I grew up reading pretty much only high fantasy and cozy mysteries, which says a lot about me if you've read my books. And so plus it had been on Wattpad, and that was a long time ago that I put it on Wattpad. I had to publish all these other books under contract before we could get to this one. So I just was like, it's exciting to finally put this book out. My publisher made a beautiful edition. It has beautiful in papers and the cool edges. But I don't know. It's not The Witchlands, which is what most of my fans are clamoring for. Sorry to make you wait so long on the sequel. It's coming so soon, so soon. You will see what a genius I am. But this one was, it's cozy and quirky, and I just didn't know if it would land, but it seems to have landed. So thank you to everybody who bought it and propelled me to the bestseller list with the surprise. So thank you all. Yay! Clap for yourselves.
Clap for yourself. Well, since we're already here, please tell us about this other series, because
I am not allowed to talk about that. No, you mean what's coming up or the Witchlands?
No, just the series in general.
Like,
No, because
I can't talk about the Murder Quartet yet.
No. Because what I loved about learning about both of you is how booked and busy and how adventurous you are with your writing. And it was fun for me to learn that while the books that I was sent to read, it's like, oh, there's also this huge other series going on. So definitely, for those who don't know, tell us about that series.
Yeah.
Yeah. As much
I mean, I think both of us, we've been doing this a long time. Yeah. We go way back.
Feels
We were
like
trying
it.
to figure out when we first met, which was 2012, I think. So, way.
Long time
Ye
ago.
ages past.
Before some of you were born.
I know. Probably very true. Yikes. And in that time, we've written many books and spanned many genres, you know, like hearing you talk about the Shatter Me books versus Woven Kingdom books. And you did some middle grade too, right?
And some contemporary novels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
A lot.
you spanned it, and I do too. I like to jump around. I have my high fantasy in the Witchlands, and then the Luminary series is my I want it to feel like you're reading a CW show. It's fun. It's pacey. Nightmare hunters in a small town. I like spooky forests. And then I have The Executioners 3, my cozy horror romance, quirky, and then The Witchlands, which is true high fantasy, earned payoffs, slow burn romance. I was talking about this earlier with my agent because my favorite thing, tell me if you're the same, is that growing up, I loved reading fantasy where I didn't know if I was supposed to ship these characters or not. But boy, did I ship them. But I wasn't clear on it as a reader. Am I supposed to want them to get together? Because I really want them to get together. And so I like to write that too, where you're like, are they? And the answer is maybe. I don't know. You got to keep reading and find out. And don't worry, you will get the earned payoff you were waiting for in the last Witchlands book. But I love a slow burn. I love is supposed to be these. I love a huge cast. There are 7 points of view in the Witchlands. Not in the first book. It slowly grows bigger and bigger. It's a huge world, lots of different magics, lots of different cultures. We cover it all. Lots of little seeds planted in the first book that will be meaningless to you, but if you go back and ever reread, you're going to be like, wow, Suze, I see what you did there. I bet you like this too when readers bring you a book with tabs.
Oh, yeah.
Such a good feeling.
I always look through it. I'm
Do
like,
you?
what did
Oh!
you like?
Yeah.
What were you smiling at? And they're like, don't look.
I know, it's like, I never do, but now I will. Now I will put them on the spot. Show me. What did you highlight? Because it's very gratifying because, you know, people engage with our work, and that is the reason we do it, I think, at least for
yeah.
me. Yeah, that is, because I know for me too, with the earn payoff thing, the fun is in when you get to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun for me, but the real fun happens when you guys finally get to that moment. Yeah. That's why I did it, to share it with you and make you enjoy and see all the cool stuff happening in my head and build this bridge between us. It's the best feeling ever. And so, yeah, The Witchlands, it's my most successful series, certainly, and my biggest fandom still. Thank you for waiting, guys. I know there was a big gap between the 5th and the 6th book while I literally published 4 books in between, but it's here. In 2 months, it's here, and if you're new to it, now's the time to start. You can get through them all before it hits stores.
Exciting.
Yeah, thank you. That was a challenge. That was a hard one.
No, that was lovely because I love hearing you guys talk about it. And just the friendship between you two is just the gushies.
It's so easy to talk to Susan. I mean, she's
Thanks.
like hilarious and brilliant and, you know, just like effortlessly cool.
Oh, golly, guys. I'm going to leave this with a huge
You should totally
head.
read her
As you
books.
should.
You should go buy all of her books.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I do want to talk about This Woven Kingdom because just for fun backstory, I was sent the 3rd book of This Woven Kingdom series first, and then they sent me Watch Me and said, "Oh, psych, nah, we're kidding. You have to read this one." It's like, guys,
have
I'm
been
already
very
3rd book in.
confusing.
Like, I've already ran through the series. I want to talk about Cyrus right now.
Yeah.
What do you mean I have to pivot? But I think you covered it. But just for those who haven't heard or haven't read, I encourage you to read the Woven Series Kingdom. Tell them about this Woven Kingdom series.
Okay, yeah, wow. The Woven Kingdom series. So I did touch on it a little bit briefly. It's the story of a young girl who, when we first meet her, she works as a servant, and she's in hiding. She's hiding her identity because she's this long-lost inheritor, long-lost queen of an ancient kingdom. And it's steeped in like Persian mythology and folklore, inspired in part by the Shahnameh, which is this I'm Persian, I should have led with that. But like the Shahnameh is this like epic work of Persian poetry that's like, I'm gonna mess this up, something like 60,000 rhyming couplets. I mean, the author of this work his name is Abul Qasim Ferdowsi, and Ferdowsi is about as famous in Persian culture and in many other parts of the world, as much as like Shakespeare is to many parts of the Western part of the world. And I grew up hearing these stories like from my parents, you know, in the way that people will casually reference like Hamlet or Macbeth or Othello or, you know, something. My parents were just casually dropping Rumi and Sadi, those are other poets, but I mean like, but also like they'll like speak in verse and reference these like really epic stories. And I grew up with that texture in my life. And so I need to be clear when I say that this book does not have Farsi in it. It is not actually like literally Persian mythology. It is all fake. It's all made up. I've had people contact me and be like, because I made up a language. I created a language for the story.
As you do for fantasy.
It's fantasy.
Yeah.
And people were like, this is not correct. I was like, I know. I have my own dictionary for it.
It's correct by my dictionary.
Yeah, it's all fake. It's 100% made up, but it is steeped in this texture of a lot of the sounds and sensations and scents and tastes that informed my upbringing. And so it feels like rose petals and saffron and tea, and it feels like Persian rugs and marble and pistachios, like it feels like that. It's very romantic, it's very magical. But I think all of my books, as I was saying, like I tend to become increasingly more obvious to myself. The older I get, the more books I write. And all of my books, I've realized, are processing inequality, oppression, and injustice through love. And in one way or another, these are the kinds of questions and stories I'm seeking. And I love to give pain meaning. And at the end of the day, this story is also, the Woven Kingdom series is also about destroying tyrannical leaders, freeing ourselves from oppression, and finding love, meaning, and hope at the end of it. So, book 4 out in just a couple of weeks.
So now's a good time to start.
I am absolutely looking forward to it because how dare the third book end the way it did. For those, I'm not going to spoil it because I want you all to go through the trauma that I went through because that's how we bond and become friends.
You'll get your earned payoff soon, though.
Oh my gosh, so many cool reveals in the 4th book. So many.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So how fun was it to write? Because you mentioned, because when I was reading this Woven Kingdom, flowery, it felt very, I don't know the right word to describe it, but it's like I could really just kind of feel and smell what was going through, what the character, especially Alize, was going through as because you mentioned she started as a servant and she's a djinn and she's going through this hard life. And there were some colorful moments, especially when she met, I believe, Cameron. She met him, and then Cyrus. It was just such a beautiful world-building story. So just for my personal curiosity, how do you start world-building such a texture world?
I usually start with the senses. Like sometimes when I'm struggling to enter a scene, I won't ask myself what happens. I'll ask myself, what does it smell like? Like what is this character feeling? And that's usually the way I enter and then open a chapter. And I think for world building, it's the same. My stories are almost always character driven. I used to fight this because I'd be like, maybe I should be more, of course we still build worlds, but like, I like and prefer character-driven stories. I think sometimes people think that character development is not plot, and I'm like, it's plot.
Literally, the character makes the plot happen.
Right, so like if by the end of this book, the character has changed, you have plot.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoy character-driven stories, and so I always enter story character first, and the world usually builds up in order to accommodate and also push and drive a character's needs. And I usually start with textures, with the senses, and then everything kind of builds from there. What about you?
I love hearing about other writers talk about how they do it. I'm the same. I mean, I used to think I had to outline that was virtuous because we're taught a very strict way of writing, which I think feeds into our Western ideals of productivity, right? Write X number of words every day and you will finish a book. No. Write according to an outline and you will finish a book. No. We all have different brains. We all create differently. And part of the journey is finding what works for you and discarding the advice that doesn't work for you. And I feel like only in the last few years have I finally figured out my process. I spent so many years trying to be what I thought a good writer, good as in morally upright writer, would do. And now I've learned, like, actually, when I just kind of trust my gut and pants, which we're always told is bad, pantsing meaning you just don't really know where you're going and you figure it out as you go, I write faster and I write better. It doesn't mean I don't plan it all. I have my cookies, right? I know what I want my characters to do, but if I just let myself aim for that, mountain in the distance, the journey is so exciting and so much more fun. And a big reason I think that works for me is because of character. Like Tahara, I'm in their head, I'm in their emotions, and they are making the decisions that propel the story forward. And therefore, it ultimately has a plot, but it is driven by the characters' choices and their desperate desire, as I call it, in each scene. I have learned that for me, I need to hear their voice before I start the book. And I can try to hack that, but I usually will just end up writing words I throw away until I really hear them and feel them. I can't really see them, but I feel a shape of them. Then I put them in the scene, and like you, I'm like, what do I see? What is here? What is my desperate desire for this character? What is it that they will do anything to get, even if it's morally questionable? And now we go. I tend to make a map before I start, which is subject to change, but it helps me just logistically move through the space, be it a map of a small town for a murder mystery or a huge continent for the Witchlands. But that just helps give me some actual tangible guidelines, but the scene details, no idea till I get into it. I intentionally let myself go in completely empty and unknowing in order to discover it as I write and tap into that joy, because for me, discovering is part of the fun and what makes me want to sit down. I have discovered with sequels, this gets harder with each sequel because I do make promises to the reader that I feel very strongly I must follow through on. I want that earned payoff, which means that I have to get more and more outliney as I go. But that's okay too, right? Not every book is going to be easy and fun per se to write. Sometimes there is more labor involved for the book, but the trick is making sure the reader can't tell the difference. And if we're good at our jobs, which I like to think we are, then the reader can't tell how much more labor maybe went into that one chapter than the others. And that's part of just building experience and writing more books. And for all you aspiring authors out there, you know what? Listen to the advice if you want. Try everything you hear. Try writing every day if that's what works for you, and see if it works for you. But if it doesn't, don't beat yourself up over it. You don't have to write every day. I don't write every day. Some days all I do is brainstorm. Some days all I do is online promo because that's part of the job. Or some days my kid's sick and stuck at home, and so we're just watching Bluey, and that's okay. And I just wish that I had allowed myself to embrace my own natural process sooner than trying to be a virtuous writer.
Awesome. Well, we are at 15 minutes, so let's start the Q&A. So if you have any questions for our lovely authors, please come to the front. We have mic stands set up. We would love to hear from you.
Is it on?
Yes.
Oh, hello. This is a question for Tahra. In the Shatter Me series, we obviously got some novellas from Adam and Kenji. Do you think that we can expect something like that for This Woven Kingdom? Maybe?
Novellas for This Woven Kingdom?
Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Or not necessarily novellas, but like POVs from other characters. I know this upcoming book, you said there's might only be 2.
Yeah, for the 4th book, there are only 2 POVs. I think anything is possible.
Okay. Well, to say I would love a Hazan POV, so if you can, that would be great.
Thank you.
Even if it's like a fanfic, you just like release it on a pen name.
Maybe one day.
Time.
I have like he has his own whole complete story that already exists fully fleshed out in my mind. And I'd love to write it one day. So
Okay, well,
just a matter
I'm
of
waiting.
time.
I'm first in line. I'm first in line, as you
One
can
sale
see.
right there.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you
You're
so much.
amazing. Next.
Hi. Oh, sorry. Hi. I really enjoyed your guys' talk. I'm a college student and I write for my student newspaper, so a really big topic right now is AI and the use of it. And as really prominent figures in your field, you guys, I grew up reading your books, and it means a lot to me to be here right now. So I was just wondering, as figures in your field that are obviously really in the know of what's going on, what are those conversations looking like about AI right now? And what are your personal opinions on what it's looking like like right now, if that makes sense.
You want to take this
I mean,
one?
I can try. It's a big question mark on what, in terms of what it's doing to the industry. I mean, there was just the Anthropic settlement, maybe you saw, where we each get $3,000. But how is that even going to be paid out? It's per work, which is better than nothing, I guess, but it's also almost not better than nothing. It's an insulting amount considering that they pirated our works to create their models. So they stole from us, right? The books that took us years to write.
Yeah.
So yes, I have strong feelings on that. And I think many creators do. I also feel strongly that using AI to write your novel is, you know, if you want to do that, that's fine, but you're missing the point, right? The point of writing a novel is to write the novel. Ideas are a dime a dozen. We can all come up with a million ideas, good for you. The hard part is translating those ideas into actual words on the page. And when you can do that, then you've learned the joy and why we do it. That is the hard part. And that's the friction is the point. And if you're not having the friction, then I don't really know why you're doing it, but okay, you do you. As long as I get paid well, which at the moment we're not. So it's a very, very tumultuous time. That's kind of, I don't have an easy answer. I would say right now we are literally in the thick of it. And it's not pretty. And I don't know what's coming.
I think we're definitely in the wild west of it, where
Yeah.
there are no regulations, nothing has really been established. Like, it's like the beginning of the internet, you know, before we even had search engines to, you guys probably don't remember this,
Were you born
but there
yet?
was a
Yeah.
time when the internet existed without a
just
search
had to
engine.
know a
You
website
know, like
and go
it
to
was,
it.
right, so like nothing had been regulated, nothing had been established, nothing had been organized. Look, I just want to say, we've read all these books, okay? We've seen the movies. We've seen how AI turns out. I think we just have to wait it out.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we'll just start over,
Yeah,
post-apocalypse.
when the world ends, when Horizon Zero Dawn happens.
When when eventually the robots come for us, like,
Oh, like iRobot?
we'll be sorry.
Be sorry.
I'm always like, at the end of the world, like, don't worry, our tools will be very useful, because like we won't know how to build a fire or catch a fish, but we'll be able to gather the children and tell them stories. Actually, we learned how to build a fire and catch a fish because we had to research it in order to write
Yes,
these books.
that's true. I have notes somewhere.
Get our copy of the Hunger Games out.
Thank you.
Thanks,
so
Katniss.
Hi, I was just wondering, are there any like genres, books, or series that you guys really personally like, but you don't think your fans would like know or guess that you would like?
No or guess. Oh gosh, I feel like I need to think on this.
I'm like a huge fan of Dostoevsky.
There you
Like,
go.
just all the time. Have loved. I mean, it's such a weird, obscure thing, but
I don't know if it's that obscure, but yes, it is niche in that I wouldn't think our audience typically
that's what I
gravitates
meant.
toward. Yeah.
Not that Dostoevsky is obscure,
Yeah,
but
yeah, no, I get what you mean. Yeah.
like, why would I be reading that in my, like, for fun in my spare time?
Funsies, yeah.
Funsies.
That's awesome though. I don't have like an easy, let me think on that and I'll think, well, is that okay? While we get like maybe our next question and I'll answer you. I gotta chew.
Afternoon. So I do have a question, but before that, I gotta say, I went to a book panel and book signing of yours, Tahara, 10 years ago with my
Welcome back.
3-year-old at the time, and now she's 13 and she's getting into the Shatter Me series. I am trying not to panic because if I think they're cool, she won't. Anywho, the question is, as fellow artists, I'm an artist, you guys are an artist, I can never tell when something is done. When for you two, when are you like, okay, it's done?
I typically have to have someone outside of me say like, you gotta stop now. Like, you gotta turn this in, either it's due to my editor or back before I was published, my critique partner at the time was like, Suze, you're just moving commas, you need to query this. Like, this is just a waste of time now. Like, you're not really changing the meat of what you've got. But it's hard, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I think there's a difference between, like, when it's done, like, when you write the end, how do you know when it's done? Is that your question? Or do you mean, like, after you're in copy edits and how do you let it go?
Yeah, sure, either.
Because I don't know, I'm so curious what your answer to this is, but for me, I know that I'm done writing a book, like it's the end, when I start feeling like I'm writing fan fiction.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
Do you know what I'm
I just
saying?
completely unplug from my characters. I no
Yeah.
longer hear them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
writing
it's
the
over.
denouement, you guys will just know this, is the hardest part of the book for me because I'm like, who are you? I got through the hard stuff. I don't know who you are anymore.
Yeah. It's like the tension just releases.
I'm so the same, man. Oh my gosh.
And you know it's over. It's like listening to the end of a song. And it's very, I don't know, that probably sounds random, but
No, I get exactly what you mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that was helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm a high school librarian, so I would like to first say thank you so much for your books. They are, both of your books, enormously popular in my library. I've had to replace them several times because they walk off, and I don't get them back. But it's okay, because that means someone has a good book to read anytime they want. So my question is, out of context, what is one of your favorite lines that you've written?
That we've written?
Oh my gosh, I don't know, because I
Oh,
don't
I
even
don't
remember
know.
my lines.
Oh,
Someone will like highlight me and tag me on Instagram, and I'll be like, wow, that's really good. Who wrote that? I don't know if you remember. There's nothing.
I try to forget.
Yeah. I will say, like, how about this? What's the one you've seen tattooed the most?
I don't.
I can tell you mine is it's a romantic line from the Witchlands. It's a made-up language, not real. Don't come at me. That says "Me verujta," which means "trust me as if my soul was yours," or were yours. So that is, I get "Me verujta" a lot on people's bodies.
I'm considering that one.
Are you really considering that one? Oh my
I
gosh!
was gonna have you write it at the site.
Should do it. And then come back.
And then come back. Yeah.
Always. Yeah.
We have time for one more. Yeah, we have a little time, right? Because I'm
Thank
still
you.
stewing on what books. I didn't forget that question.
We have 6 more minutes so we can go
Oh.
through chaos.
Okay.
Hi, this is for Sahira. I know the Shatter Me is done, but will we get more of the Kenji, Aaron, and Juliet trio in Reveal Me? Like more of their dynamics
In Watch Me?
in the next book, in the Watch Me series?
In Release Me?
Yes.
It's a lot of something me. You know, my
Eyes and
my daughter gets very confused. She's like, "Mommy, what is this one?" So the second book in this new series is called Release Me. It comes out next April. And yes, you see, so you'll actually get Warner's POV in this second book. Because
Not all of us do it.
he's like a very important part of the story in ways that I can't really talk about without it being very spoilery. But you absolutely do get quite a bit of them. I mean, they're his family, so you get James's family, so you get the texture of that for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi. I was gonna ask about in Shatter Me, you make a very impressive like stylistic choice to have certain words or phrases crossed out a lot.
Yes.
So I want to ask what goes into thinking about that stylistic choice of to make it a physical thing that you see, and then if there are any stylistic choices you made for Watch Me.
Thank you. You know, I almost forgot I did that until you pointed that out. It was so long ago, but for those of you who don't know, the first book in the Shatter Me series, most of those books, but especially the first one, the writing is very chaotic and it's almost written in verse occasionally. And it doesn't, in certain sections, it doesn't have a lot of structure. Words are crossed out occasionally. There's lots of repetition. It's kind of frenetic, and there's a lot of hyperbole and metaphor, and is occasionally very broken. All of this was meant to be a visual representation of the chaos going on in the mind of the main character. When we first meet Juliet, the main character of the book, she's been locked up for almost a year. She hasn't talked to anyone or touched anyone in a very, very long time. She's beginning to lose her mind. And the story, this series, is about her growth. And by the end of, as you progress through the books, the writing softens, the prose sort of becomes more cohesive, everything regulates, and she settles into herself as a person and finds her voice and her strength. So the writing on the page was always meant to change and grow with her. And when she's really volatile, the writing is really volatile. And this was just something that I really liked. I don't know, I mean, it was like a fumbling attempt at like merging poetry and prose into fiction. It was my debut novel, and I just kind of broke a bunch of rules, but it felt right for the character.
I'm glad you broke those rules. It was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think we have for one more, unfortunately. We have 3 minutes.
Let me
so-
answer the book question real fast. Okay, I thought of a book people wouldn't associate with me, and that is Michael Crichton, Jurassic Park, and Lost World,
I would totally
Sphere,
associate
and
that with
Timeline.
you.
I've probably reread those books more than any on my shelf because I started reading them as like a kid when I was about 13. Congo. But I also have a background in science, so I think the science nerd in me is just really drawn to that. And those are not character-driven books. Those are like plot, premise, all about it. But I really love them, and there's a reason that they've all been made into movies. They are extremely fun and hooky reads. So there you go. That's a random, completely unlike what I write.
Love it.
But it totally suits you. I can totally see
Your
that.
last question.
Okay. First of all, I'm glad I thought of a backup question because I was also curious about the writing style. But you both mentioned talking a little bit about world building and building using texture and your senses. As someone who probably likes world building a little too much, how do you not get bogged down in the world building going, I want to figure every little piece out, and instead being like, no one's going to care that, I don't know.
What is their tea drinking ritual?
Yeah.
In this one place they will never go.
Yeah,
But it could be important. They might go there. I will say world building I'm a big gamer. I'm a big gamer, a big TTRPG and also video gamer.
you
Yeah.
understand.
So I
You
fully get it.
understand.
I just want to like build up a world and then DM you in it. But you can't do that in a book because yes, first of all, it can bog the reader down quickly. But look, there is no limit, right? You could keep doing this for the rest of your life. What I have discovered for me personally, and you may be different too, is I have to draw a line because there is a point at which it's just a procrastination technique, and I'm just not admitting that I'm afraid to start the actual writing. And there is a point where it's like, nope, just you got to at least try to write some words. Dip your toe in. If you're still not feeling the words, then for me that means the voice isn't ready yet. Okay, maybe I'll play with the world a bit more. But it's definitely a procrastination technique for me personally. And if I was giving you advice, I would be like, stop. Just try to write the voice, see what comes of it. But you might have totally different advice.
No, I mean, I think that's solid. I think the world building that you do include in the book should move the plot forward. It should be relevant. It's like the smoking gun thing. Yeah. Wait, is that a thing?
Chekhov's. Yeah.
Like if you see the gun, it has to go off at a certain point. Like, I forget. There's like a rule about that.
Yeah, no, it's Chekhov's gun. Yeah, if you see the gun in Act 1, then it should return in Act 3. Yeah. So, that's very true. It should all be important, but it's hard too. The more you world build, the more you're like, but I want to include that cute little detail. I'm so clever. And so,
That's why series are fun.
It is, because then you might end up there at the small village where they drink tea a special way. You never know.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you, everyone who
Thank you
tuned
so
in. You
much,
guys have been
everyone.
amazing.